It needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a black woman and hated because of my color.
Yeah.
Now, what I would love Caitlyn to do is get up one time and then just slap the
Welcome back to the Buzzer Update. I'm back today with a brand new, incredible, and fascinating video that you won't want to miss. So be sure to stick with me all the way through. Let's get straight into today's video without wasting any more time. What would happen if one of the greatest basketball players ever witnessed the most gifted young athlete in the WNBA being singled out through dubious means? You'll find out because the basketball world was completely rocked by Cheryl Miller's scathing remarks regarding Brittney Griner's actions against Caitlin Clark. But first, let me ask you a question. Have you ever witnessed a professional athlete being singled out the way Caitlin Clark has been throughout her career? Because of what she witnessed during the game. Cheryl Miller's attitude to the WNBA has drastically shifted. Brittney Griner is devastated by this facet of Cheryl Miller's viewpoint. Right now, Caitlin Clark is exactly where Cheryl Miller is. Cheryl Miller was the greatest player in a league consisting of amazing athletes from 1982 to 1986. They attempted to physically frighten her since they were unable to match her exceptional basketball IQ. But Cheryl Miller highlighted this important point. Brittney Griner's reputation becomes quite fascinating at this point. Cheryl Miller knows the difference between what she observed in the mob scenario and championship-level competitive basketball and what she is witnessing with Caitlin Clark. In her words, "It was the most cowardly act I've witnessed on a basketball floor in decades." Yes, you heard correctly. Please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the content. It may surprise you to learn that almost 90% of viewers have not yet subscribed. Even though it only takes a second and is free, it means the world to us. Have you already subscribed? Fantastic. I sincerely appreciate your help. Let's return to the video now.
Viral clip. After she made a foul play, Griner appears to mouth something rather controversial. It might be, though we don't know, trash and possibly fucking white girl. Others have suggested it might be trash and fucking whack call. We don't know what she's mouthing, but she seems to, have a mouth on her and not exactly be in the gratitude space. Griner herself hasn't commented. Now, why is that? If you were being accused of making racist statements, I think you'd want to clear that up quickly. You'd race to the cameras and put out a statement on X to say, I said fucking whack call.
Cheryl Miller's response to the video of Brittney Griner pushing Caitlin Clark was swift and unpleasant. However, even she could see that Brittney Griner's actions went against the standards of competitive integrity and sportsmanship. However, hear what Cheryl Miller has to say regarding the time of that thrust. Brittney Griner is currently devastated by her analysis. Before we continue, if you haven't already, the basketball player highlighted an issue that many fans have been thinking about, but nobody with her level of celebrity had the guts to express it. Playing championship-level defense is not the same as taking cheap swings at a player while they are totally exposed and not looking. The majority of people regarded her time as one of the most physically demanding in basketball history, according to Cheryl Miller. When you disagree with someone, you confront them like a warrior rather than waiting for their back to turn before acting like a predator. And that's precisely what Brittney Griner's heinous acts offended Cheryl Miller the most. However, Cheryl Miller's remarks have now completely ruined Brittney Griner's reputation. The veteran Celtics player was especially enraged by Brittney Griner's pitiful response following the incident. Brittney Griner saw that the media and people were unfairly criticizing her, but she chose not to apologize or admit that she might have gone too far. "Damned if I do, damned if I don't," she murmured. However, Cheryl Miller grew even more upset after hearing such remarks. Even when their acts could seriously endanger another player, the game's victors and legends, truly outstanding competitors, always accept full responsibility for their conduct. Cheryl Miller claimed that when she watched Brittney Griner play the victim and sidestep criticism, she was reminded of athletes who secretly knew they couldn't compete at the greatest level. They consequently discovered other, dubious methods to influence the game. In other words, Cheryl Miller successfully characterized Brittney Griner as a mediocre player who uses unethical tactics because she lacks the actual basketball talents to match outstanding potential. This is the point at which Cheryl Miller's study really shines and highlights an intriguing facet of Caitlin Clark. According to Cheryl Miller, Caitlin Clark has the same special traits that made her one of the greatest basketball players in history. Her extraordinary basketball IQ, her inexplicable ability to make big shots, and most importantly, her heavenly ability to make everyone around her better. However, she also notices something that truly worries her as someone who values basketball ethics. Instead of concentrating just on realizing her limitless basketball potential, this exceptionally gifted young athlete must always be on the alert for cheap shots and dirty tricks. According to Cheryl Miller, Brittney Grinier's strategy embodies all that is wrong with certain players choosing to play against Caitlin Clark rather than challenging themselves to match her extraordinary skill level or outwork her on the court by commitment and preparation. The fact that she is physically attacked when she is most vulnerable is a troubling trend. Cheryl Miller claims that this conduct is the worst form of basketball competition she has ever encountered. However, as a result, Cheryl Miller's controversial remarks became the buzz of the basketball world. Cheryl Miller likened Caitlin Clark's situation to her own professional encounters with physical intimidation. She did, however, promptly draw attention to something that both elevates and appropriately contextualizes Caitlin Clark's predicament. She noted that Caitlin Clark, who is only 22 years old, is dealing with significantly more hardship than most athletes do throughout their careers. And she's doing it while bearing the burden of becoming the undisputed face of women's basketball.
You could bring your laptop and relax, maybe even get a little work done. But now it's like there's large gatherings of people watching us from the stands. Some of them are yelling crazy shit about what they're seeing, putting unfair pressure on us to score like we're there for their entertainment. You are. The whole thing is toxic. I saw a guy with his daughter in the crowd, both of them yelling, couldn't hear what they were saying exactly, but it was either my performance or some light racism.
However, Cheryl Miller's remark regarding Brittney Grinier's prospects in the league is currently circulating on social media. And in order to believe it, you must hear it. According to Cheryl Miller, if the WNBA permits players like Brittney Griner to target superstars without incurring consequences, it conveys the idea that mediocre players may resort to unethical methods rather than honing their actual basketball skills in order to remain relevant. According to her, this sets a risky precedent that could discourage players who are raising the standard for the league. Cheryl Miller even went so far as to say that young players who watch at home are duped by the league's inability to sufficiently penalize these actions. She feels that watching the WNBA should teach children about skill, commitment, and sportsmanship rather than how to pick on weak opponents. However, Cheryl Miller's assessment of Caitlin Clark's future in spite of these difficulties may have been the most important aspect of her entire presentation. She claimed that Caitlin Clark was shaped by hardship and that every cheap shot, foul play, and attempt to intimidate her just strengthened her will to demonstrate her dominance via sheer basketball prowess. Cheryl Miller likened Caitlin Clark's predicament to her own rookie season, when opponents physically tested her to see if she could withstand the strain. The difference, she noted, is that Caitlin Clark is dealing with this conduct in addition to the unprecedented media exposure and expectations that come with being the most marketable player in WNBA history. For this reason, it is crucial that Cheryl Miller support Caitlin Clark. She's not just defending a talented athlete. She is defending the intrinsic purity of basketball. Caitlin Elizabeth Clark, in her opinion, embodies all the attributes that characterize basketball, such as talent, vision, class, and competitiveness. She also sees everything in athletes like Brittney Griner that might be detrimental to the sport. The basketball veteran stated unequivocally that the WNBA is at a pivotal moment. There are two choices for them. Either they continue to let weaker players employ dishonest strategies to stay relevant, or they protect and highlight their best players, enabling players like Caitlin Clark to realize their full potential and improve the league as a whole. The message from Cheryl Miller was unambiguous. The decision chosen will determine the league's future, yet everyone is debating this issue. Will Cheryl Miller's cautions regarding safeguarding Caitlin Clark be taken seriously by the WNBA, or will they keep enabling athletes like Brittney Griner to utilize dubious tactics to undermine the league's reputation? Let's carry on the discussion in the comments section below. What do you think of Cheryl Miller's blatantly critical assessment of Brittney Grinier's behavior? Do you believe she is being unduly critical, or are her critiques totally justified? More importantly, do you feel the WNBA will eventually move to safeguard its biggest star in the space allowed for comments below? Please share your opinions. I read each and every one of them. If you want to see more analysis like this that breaks through the clutter and tells you what's truly happening in basketball, make sure you hit the subscribe button and enable the notification bell. Caitlin Clark's treatment in the WNBA may finally alter as a result of Cheryl Miller's offensive statements. The basketball community is keeping an eye on this problem.
Sick of watching Caitlin getting attacked. If the league doesn't step up and protect her, things are going to get ugly real fast.
As this story develops, one thing becomes more difficult to ignore. Discussions are no longer limited to one game, one hard foul, or one controversial occurrence. It has to do with the future of women's basketball, the standards the league wants to uphold, and how its best players are treated when the spotlight is shining. Few athletes have ever had to contend with the kind of expectations that Caitlin Clark faced before entering the WNBA. Every game she plays is watched by millions of people. Every action she does is scrutinized from every angle. Every success is celebrated, and every setback garners media attention. That's what it means to be one of the biggest names in basketball today. Meanwhile, veterans from all throughout the league continue to compete at the highest level, bringing years of experience, tenacity, and pride to every match. The WNBA's goal is to ensure that fierce competition never devolves into unnecessary or dangerous play. Intensity is what fans want. They want competition. They are searching for authentic basketball, but they also want respect, justice, and stability. Because Cheryl Miller is someone who knows exactly what it's like to play under pressure, her remarks have generated intense discussion. Over the course of her illustrious career, Cheryl Miller encountered some of the most formidable opponents and fiercest defenders in basketball history. But her message went beyond just being stern. It was about maintaining the integrity of the game and making sure that basketball skill, rather than controversy, remains the primary focus. There's no doubt that Cheryl Miller's remarks have generated conversation, regardless of whether you wholeheartedly concur with her viewpoint or think the circumstances have been overstated. Fans, commentators, former players, and media personalities continue to debate what should happen when the league's best players become the focal point of physical play. Do authorities need to be stricter? Is this a normal part of being a professional basketball player, or should the league impose harsher penalties? Everybody seems to react differently. There is no doubt about Caitlin Clark's response. Instead of letting controversy, physical defense, or criticism define her career, she has continued to focus on basketball. She keeps competing, showing up, and proving why so many believe she is the future of sports. Her perseverance is one of the primary reasons her followers continue to support her. The WNBA is receiving unprecedented attention. Discussions on social media are growing every day. The arenas are full. The number of people watching television is increasing. Additionally, new viewers are discovering women's basketball for the first time. These kinds of situations affect not just a single player or team, but also the league's perception around the world. As the season goes on, each game will become much more vital. Every game Caitlin Clark participates in will be closely watched. Every controversial play will be analyzed. Every official ruling will be contested. Every game will also add to the narrative of one of the most talked about seasons in WNBA history. The most crucial question is now yours. Do you think Cheryl Miller's remarks accurately capture the state of the league? Do you think the WNBA is allowing competitive physical basketball while taking enough safety measures to protect its stars? And how do you think this entire situation will impact Caitlin Clark, Brittney Griner, and the league moving forward? I genuinely want to know the opinions of basketball enthusiasts worldwide. Please feel free to express your opinions in the space provided for comments below. This group is great because of respectful debate, and your viewpoint might be included in a future video. Make sure to use the subscribe button, enable notifications, and never miss any upload. If you appreciate this breakdown and want more in-depth basketball analysis, exclusive updates, and the biggest stories involving the WNBA, NBA legends, and Caitlin Clark, every night, basketball history is being written. I appreciate you watching and your wonderful support. This is where you'll find out about the next chapter, which might be even more important than this one. To ensure you don't miss anything, please leave your opinions in the comments box, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We'll see you in the following video once you click the one on the screen.